Hello everyone, welcome to our show. My name is Iman Ahmed and I'm a chemistry graduate student at New York University, NYU.
My name is Margarita Milton, and I used to be a postdoc in the same lab as Iman.
So the name of our show is Milton Med Cosmetic Conversations, and this is obviously a combination of our last names. So we're both really interested in science, especially cosmetics, and so we decided to make our own cosmetics and learn a little bit about formulations.
However, if you're only here to learn about the process of formulation, be prepared for some bullshit as well. We're only starting out, and quite frankly, we don't know what we're doing.
So, in case you're wondering about where my accent is from, I was born and raised in Pakistan, and then I moved to New York for school. Margita, do you want to tell people about where you're from?
No, it always raises silly comments.
Come on, I'm sure people want to know more about you.
No, I'm not gonna do it this time. Cut me someday.
Anyway, so here in our show, you're going to learn a little bit more about cosmetic formulations as we go along, and we'll be doing product reviews here as well.
Yeah, and since we're just starting out, we're probably gonna say things that are just wrong at some point. So if you know better, feel free to point it out. Because as they say, there's no such thing as a stupid question.
Well, you're saying stupid questions aren't the same thing as stupid claims, so you make it sound like we're going to be making stupid statements.
Well then, maybe we should phrase everything as a question. Because if there are no stupid questions, and we're phrasing everything as a question, then we won't ever sound stupid.
I don't know how long I can keep that up for.
It's probably more trouble than it's worth.
Totally. So today, you'll be learning about making a hand cream using a cold emulsion. So cold emulsion processes are advantageous because you're not using any energy to heat up the different phases. And this formulation is something that Margarita used at a cosmetic trade show here in New York. So here's the list of ingredients. And here we have our ingredients. So the very first ingredient is water. Now, water in most cosmetic formulations forms the bulk of the product, and here we have it at 81.5%. So most, as we mentioned, we're going to be using a cold emulsion process, and cold emulsion processes have two phases. The first phase is water.
The next phase is the oil phase. And here we're going to be using an emollient in the oil phase, which here is isononyl isononoate. It's one of those incomprehensible chemical names, and it has this structure. And if you're not familiar with the chemical structures, I suggest looking up some sort of a YouTube video about it. But it's, these emollients are added to formulations to aid with the skin feel of them. And they can also contain active ingredients.
Wait, Margarita, should we tell people what an emulsion is first?
Do we have to?
I think we should. It's not general knowledge. All right.
Well, I guess we do have these slides created about them. Well, here is some water, and it has oil dissolved in it, these yellow blobs. And then these matchstick shapes are the surfactants or emulsifiers. Now, what is an emulsifier? Well, here is an example of one that's pretty common, phosphatidylcholine. And phosphatidylcholine is an example of a phospholipid found in lecithin. This is something that's derived from eggs.
So lecithin has many functional groups. Here's one that you see at the end, and this is choline. So choline is commonly found in membrane lipids, and it's also a neurotransmitter, acetylcholine. And you also see this cis alkene here, which is helpful in forming kinks in the structure. So you will also, the opposite of cis alkene is trans alkene, which is found in trans fats, and it's bad for you because it packs very tightly and clogs up the arteries. All right, so this phosphatidylcholine has a polar hydrophilic water-loving head, and it has a hydrophobic nonpolar water-hating tail. And this is going to be used to bind the oil and water phase together.
So to actually make an emulsion, you have to mix, mix, mix. And then you get your micelle. Now, micelle is something where the surfactants, the matchstick shapes, are enveloping the oil phase. So the hydrophilic group, the blue spheres, are pointing outwards toward the water, while the hydrophobic groups, the gold parts, are pointing it toward the oil phase. And this micelle, you can put various active ingredients into it. You can put actives into the water phase too, if they're water soluble. But it's pretty common to put actives, various fun actives, into the oil phase, like, for example, some candy canes. All right, now back to the actual formula that we're making.
All right, so then we're gonna have another emollient, which is just an alkane with a whole bunch of carbon chains. And this is gonna be at a 5%. Why is it 5% compared to the other emollient, which is at 7%? To be honest, we're not very sure. And the inner chemist in us tells us that it doesn't really matter. The two numbers could be swapped around.
The next ingredient is glycerin, which is a humectant. And this is something that binds water. It has these hydroxyl groups, polar hydroxyl groups shown in blue, which bind the water. This property is also called hygroscopicity. Glycerin is the same thing as glycerol, and it's used here at 3%.
And then we've got our surfactant, which is similar to the phosphatidylcholine that we shown previously. So this is going to bind the oil phase and the water phase together. And this is at 1.5%.
And finally, we have this thing, which I don't really know why it's here. The website says that it's a film former and texturing agent. So since it's there, we figure we might as well get it.
All right, and lastly, we have a preservative blend made up of phenoxyethanol and ethyl hexylglycerin. So preservatives are vital for products that are water-based because you do not want any bugs growing in your formulation. So you need to preserve your product very well. And with that, we have our formulation ready, and our hand cream is right there.
But wait, we're missing something. We're missing the candy canes.
What do you mean?
We need an active ingredient.
Margarita, we're gonna have to change our entire ingredients table.
No, it's easy, come on. But which one should we use?
Niacinamide?
Yeah, sure, let's go with it. It's a vitamin, you know, it's got uses in acne and anti-aging and all kinds of things.
All right. So here's how we've added it into the ingredients table. We've just taken some of the percentage composition out from the aqueous phase, a little bit from the oil phase, and it's included in the table here at 2%. All righty.
And then, of course, we need a good amount of this, so we decided to go for 400 grams. So you just multiply the percent composition by 4, because it used to add up to 100 grams, so we want 400. So now these are going to be the weights in grams of the materials we'll use for the final product.
And now here we've got all our ingredients within this emulsion. So inside the micelle, you see all the ingredients that were oil soluble. And then on the outside, you see all the ingredients that are water soluble, which includes your preservatives, the glycerin, the niacinamide, and the matchstick looking shapes are is the surfactant that is binding the oil and water phase together. And boom, we are ready. Okay, and so now that we're finally done with all that, let's get back to our formula. Margarita, did you grab the beakers and stuff?
No, but I got something even better.
What the hell? Where did you get that from?
The North Pole. No, the freaking garbage. Can you believe somebody threw this out instead of donating it to the housing work store?
Margarita, I can't believe you cheaped out. How are we going to fit in the emulsion blender, and how are people going to see the emulsion?
Well, we can use the mashing cup.
Oh God. Okay.
Well, did you know that porcelain can't be recycled with glass and plastics and stuff? Yeah, if you get anything out of this video, it's that.
And now you can see the final consistency of our cream, and yes, we made a mess. Okay, so now we're also going to use a essential oil to make as a fragrance to make our formulation smell nice. We're using sandalwood here. It has a pretty big smell, so we're just gonna add a few drops. And we're gonna give it a good mix to see how it smells.
So then we got these pretty jars for it. Yeah, we made a bit of a mistake with these jars because these are jars for candles, not airtight jars for formulations. You can see that the lid kind of shakes around like this, so we won't be getting these jars again, but they should be fine for our purposes. We're gonna start transferring it into the jar. Into jars, and now we're ready to give it to friends and family.
If they're willing to try it. Margarita, how does it feel?
It smells nice, it feels fluffy, and it's kind of sticky, but I like it. I think it's good. It'll be good for winter. Winter, you know? It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Soon the bells will start.
I'd rather not. It's too early for that, Margarita. It's not even Thanksgiving yet.
I don't even know the next line.
How do you not know the next line? You've lived in the US all your life.
Oh, it's always been background noise. I've never even done caroling.
Anyway, so to wrap it up, today we discussed what an emulsion is and we went over the formulation of a hand cream, which is pretty easy as you saw, great for the winter. So we're gonna try to make a video per month, so stay tuned and hit the subscribe button below and keep following us.
Something, something within your heart.
I don't even know the next line to that.
Our
Behind the
iPhone
scenes.
attached to my lamp because we don't have a tripod.